Alright, welcome back to the RBL, and if you miss any episodes in the series, the playlist is in the description, but this is a huge episode. If we look at the bottom of the league, we're 20 games into the season, and we see that some teams desperately need to make a trade. Notably the Storm, Sharks, Panthers, Glory, Legacy, Cavalry, and surprisingly the Nashville Stars, the defending champions, are only at the 8 mark. For a while now, I felt that the Cavalry would be the first team to make a trade, and it turned out to be true. The first trade of the RBL is now here, and the Cavalry need to trade one of their many ball handlers. They've been shopping around Brennan Jennings, Spencer Dinwiddie, Dion Waiters, and also Gordon Hayward. What they need in return is some defense, as Chuma Okeke and Joe Ingles are the only good defenders on this team. The Nashville Stars, on the other hand, are the complete opposite situation. They need a guard who can score the ball, as they lack guys who can create their own shot. So these teams called up and proposed this trade. The Cavalry would send Dion Waiters, a 2025 second-round pick, and in return receive 3-and-D guard Devon Reed and defensive big man Bismack Biyombo. The Cavalry's new starting lineup is Spencer Dinwiddie, Devon Reed, Gordon Hayward, Chuma Okeke, and Bismack Biyombo, and this team is much more balanced, and they could definitely make a comeback to the playoff contention. The Virginia Storm have garnered many fans due to having D. Rose, Bol, and Jeremy Lin. This team is fine offensively, but they are one of the worst defensive teams, and the first step to addressing this is going after big man Willie Cauley-Stein of the Kansas City Sparrows. Willie has yet to play a minute this season for the Sparrows, so they have no issue trading him to the Storm. And now Willie is a backup center for the Storm, and the next player they need is a defensive guard who can also score, and they look for another player who hasn't played a single minute this season, and it is going to be Austin Rivers of the Fort Worth Panthers. So the Storm's new bench should help their defensive woes. Next up is Kevin Knox of the Tampa Bay Sharks. He's not happy with the Sharks as they're struggling, and he doesn't want to play small forward anymore. He much prefers playing power forward. And the one team that's struggling and needs a power forward is the Chicago Legacy. The Legacy have a lot of small forwards to offer the Sharks to replace Kevin Knox, and the Sharks ultimately want 3-and-D forward Admiral Schofield. So the new starting lineup for the Legacy is RJ Hampton, Shake Milton, Cam Reddish, Kevin Knox, and Thomas Bryant. And instead of starting Schofield, the Sharks decide to start Keontae Johnson, a young athletic small forward. And the worst defensive team in the RBL are the Fort Worth Panthers, and they need to address this, so they're going to find a big man vet can help them on the defensive end. Colin Castleton offensively is fine, but he leaves a lot desired defensively. So the Bulldogs currently don't play Nerlens Noel many minutes, so he could definitely use some more playing time, and he's just the kind of player the Fort Worth Panthers need. And the Bulldogs could use some offensive punch off the bench with Colin Castleton. So the trade for Colin Castleton for Nerlens Noel goes through, and Nerlens is now the new starting center for the Fort Worth Panthers, and Castleton is a backup center for the Bulldogs. Here's perhaps the biggest trade so far. The Baltimore Glory got away last season with their incredible offense making up for their poor defense, but it's finally caught up with them as they're sitting now in 13th place. Wow. So Chris Dunn is currently struggling for the Barrage, and the Barrage have always wanted to, have as many offensive players as possible. Fits the name. So Chris Dunn doesn't really fit that mold for them. And the Barrage want Jordan McRae and a draft pick, and the Glory happily obliged. And they finally got their defensive guard to put next to Isaiah Thomas. So very important for them. Alright, and if you'd like to pause, here's a recap of all of the trades that happened. And before we get into today's games, let's go over the mid-season award races. Alright, for the MVP race, Zach Edey, the number 1 overall pick from last season's draft, is currently number 1 MVP. There's also John Wall, Elijah Patterson, Jimmer Fredette, and Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard was last season's MVP, the first ever MVP. So good stuff there. And for Rookie of the Year, Zach Edey obviously is leading, along with Ben Simmons, Cameron Reddish, Devontae Graham, and custom player Andrew Jasquez. For the 6th Man of the Year race, Devontae Graham is having an amazing season off the bench for the best team in the league, the OKC Wolverines. There's also custom player Andrew Jasquez, AJ Griffin, Jeremy Lin of the Virginia Storm, and Nashawn Highland. As for the Defensive Player of the Year race, we have some more competition here than last year. Usman Garuba is in first place this time, along with Udoka Azubuike, Dwight Howard, and then also MVP leader Zach Edey. And we have Chris Dunn, who just got traded to the Baltimore Glory from the Omaha Barrage. For the Most Improved Player of the Year, award, Imani Bates is currently leading along with Chris Dunn. Oscar Tshiebwe's having a good season for the Sharks. There's also Montrezl Harrell of the Sparrows, and Chuma Okeke of the newly revamped Raleigh Cavalry. First sharpshooter of the year last year went to Jimmer Fredette. He's currently in third, but there's also Devontae Graham once again making another appearance. There's Danny Green, Imani Bates, and then custom player Angie Jasquez. And lastly, for the clutch player, Montrezl Harrell is surprisingly leading, along with Pittsburgh Force player Kevin Porter. There's also Pittsburgh Force player Dwight Howard, both making it, and then Elijah Patterson and Zach Edey. So you don't want to go to a close game with the Force. They'll probably win with these two guys. Alright, those are all the awards, and now let's head into the first game of this video, and it's pretty poetic, as the first game is between the Cavalry and the Stars, the teams that made the first ever trade in the RBL. So let's see who benefited most from the first ever trade in the RBL. It was Devon Reed and Bismack Biyombo for Dion Waiters. So we'll see how this goes. And there's, speaking of Dion Waiters, there he is, making his first ever jumper for the Nashville Stars. And the Stars are currently in 8th place right now, so they definitely need Dion Waiters to start now, playing good. And there's a lob to Dion Waiters there, making an impact already against his former team. There's Dion Waiters once again, having a great start to the game. That's exactly what the Stars need. They got by after defense last year, just totally dominated teams on the defense. But since teams got better on the defensive end, they've started to cause a stalemate with the Stars, and they just need more offensive punch. MCW is not a scorer; he's a facilitator. Elijah Patterson is really their only go-to scorer. Danny Green is a catch and shoot guy, so this is what they need. And there's DJ Steffens, last year's 6th man of the year, making it lay up inside the paint. Here's Gordon Hayward in the pick and roll. He sends it off to Danilo Gallinari, who gets a big dunk. Not shooting this time. He's dunking it this game. There's Chuma Okeke, who's improved a lot this season with his shooting ability mainly, but he's always been a good defender. And there's a good lob up to Harry Giles, who is honestly struggling this season, so we'll see if he can do better. There's Bismack Biyombo rolling to the paint, and he gets his first bucket as a Raleigh Cavalry player. He's exactly what they need. They just need a presence down there. Sandro was just not doing it. He's more of an offensive player than a defensive player. So Bismack's going to make a big difference for them. So I'm excited to see how the Cavalry do. But there's their former player Dion Waiters, who is just torching them this game. The extra defense of Devon Reed on the perimeter isn't helping, but what does help is his outside shooting there. He's a good 3-and-D guy. And there's in the post Elijah Patterson. Gets the very easy hook, and yeah, I mean that was a problem with Sandro as a starting center right there. He just can't guard that well. And there's Jason Preston, who the Stars signed, undrafted player last year. He's been a great point guard off the bench. And there is sharpshooter of the year candidate Danny Green making the big 3 there. And it's still a close game. See what Raleigh can do, and they send it to Spencer Dinwiddie, who makes a big 3, cuts it to a 3-point game. And there's Dinwiddie once again, making a really ugly layup, but he gets it inside, and now it's only a 1-point game. So Spencer Dinwiddie coming up clutch for the Raleigh Cavalry. Will they continue to feed the hot hand? They instead give it to Gordon Hayward all the way in the corner, and he gets it. Ties the game. Big 3 from Gordon Hayward against the defending champions. There's Dion Waiters. Clutch basket from Dion Waiters. That is what he was known for, especially with the Miami Heat in the NBA. And they miss it. Dion Waiters wins the game for the Nashville Stars in his debut. Amazing stuff from Dion Waiters. That is how you make a good trade. I think both teams benefited. Very close game. And did rivalry show they're on the level of a Nashville Star? We shall see how they do for the rest of the season. But we're going to simulate to the 40-game mark. We're going to simulate about 20 games. And here are the current standings. The OKC Wolverines were the 3rd worst team last year. Because of Zach Edey and Devontae Graham other signings, they are now in the 1 slot. The Nashville Stars bounce all the way back to number 2 with their Dion Waiters trade. The Jacksonville Bulldogs, headed by John Wall, Mo Bamba, number 3. The Sparrows, number 4. Force, number 5. And then the Lions making a comeback at number 6. And then the Ravens are at the bubble. They're the number 8 seed. And then the Cavalry are number 9, so they're battling for a playoff position. And then the Fort Worth Panthers at number 10, Baltimore Glory bumped up 2 spots, and the St. Louis Sound have been pretty disappointing. Number 12, they were the number 5, or no, they were the number 4 seed last year. They were one of 4 teams that get 50 wins, so surprising stuff there. Chicago Legacy are at number 13, and wow, the Sharks at number 14. Not good stuff there for the Sharks. And the Omaha Barrage, after the Chris Dunn trade, might have been a vital mistake for them as they dropped from 9th place all the way to 15th. And the Virginia Storm, nothing really seems to be changing, unfortunately, even though they added some good bench players. I don't know what's going on with this team. I don't know how the fans are going to feel about this one. Another disappointing season. Probably not going to make the playoffs, but season's still young. We shall see. But let's head into the next game. And I think for this one between the Bulldogs and the Barrage, I'm not going to do commentary. Just switch it up and see what y'all prefer. If you prefer my commentary, the 2K commentary, no commentary at all, just let me know.
We'll see how the coaching staff distributes minutes among the players.
They set the pick. 6 on the shot clock. Here's Garza. Gets the three-pointer to fall.
And he's not going to miss that.
Jacksonville needs to get off a shot. Nice shot there by Bamba.
Nice answer.
He's averaging a bit over 5 points a game. For 3, Mitchell knocks down the 3-ball.
No way he's going to pass that shot.
And here is Curry. Looking at his numbers, he's averaging about 6.5 points a game.
Making the most.
Takes a step back. Shoots from 12. Shots good by Mitchell. Mitchell's got it.
Did they just do that, Kevin? They just did.
0 of 4 from the field in the second half. Yet to find the mark. To the paint. And the dunk by Bamba.
And that's 7'9".
Next to Mitchell. 4 on the shot clock. Shoots over Highland. And he gets it to go from the high post. Lets it go with the 3. And again, Jacksonville with the triple.
Straight to the rim.
Here's Wall, and some very quick points for him on that possession. Wall against Mitchell. Wall passes to Bamba. And good, coming off the assist by Wall. Here's Garza, covered by Wall. And here's Mitchell from the arc. Controls the rebound and puts it back up and in. Here's Dozier. Jacksonville again can't hit. And so it's Omaha winning this one. Probably a little closer than they would have liked it, but a win nonetheless.
Yeah, but I really got a sense that the fans gave them that emotional boost that was needed down the stretch. This crowd, man, they were electric.
And that about wraps it up.
And before I let you go, I am in a band called Chasing Waters, and we just played one of our first shows, and we're going to continue gigging, working on a new album, so we'd really appreciate it if y'all check this out. We have a YouTube channel and Instagram. Just look up Chasing Waters, and you'll find us. So we'd really appreciate it. Thank you.